Welcome to the Pulse Field Expert channel. In this video, we will learn PowerPivot, one of the most powerful features for data analysis within Excel. PowerPivot is available as an Excel plugin and is free for everyone using Excel. However, this plugin is Windows only and unavailable for Excel users on a Mac. I hope Microsoft reviews this strategy in the near future and makes Excel on Mac equally powerful. Here we are on the Windows version of Excel. PowerPivot is not enabled by default on Excel, therefore you may not have seen it in the Excel menu bar. I will quickly show you how to get it enabled on the Windows version of Excel. Here in the File menu, click on the Options. This will open up the Options windows, locate the Add-in section and click on it. Here all the installed add-ins are listed. On this machine, Microsoft PowerPivot for Excel is listed under the Inactive Application Add-ins. We can also see that the add-in is a COM type add-in. In the Manage drop-down, I will select COM add-ins and click Go. This will open yet another window with all installed add-ins. Here we can see that the PowerPivot is not enabled. I will enable it and click OK. This will add a new menu item named PowerPivot on Excel. Let us click on it and open the PowerPivot menu. Here we have an item named Manage Data Model. Then under Calculations, we have Measures and KPIs. Then we have Add to Data Model, followed by Detect Relationship and Settings. Now let us explore the data. We have our favorite sales data table. It has the index, date, year, month, customer code, country, product category, subcategory, and salesperson's ID. This ID identifies the sales guy responsible for the sale. Then, of course, we have the sales details like quantity, unit cost, total amount, etc. This was our sales table. Next, we open the customer list sheet. Here we have the customer code, which was also available in the sales table. Then we have the first name, last name, gender, age, phone number, email, city, country, etc. Next, we have the sales personals table. This has the salesperson's name, country, the product he or she sells, and the salesperson's ID. This ID is also available against each sale. Let us now close this file. Next, I will open a new Excel document. This is a blank file with no data on it. Let us click Open the PowerPivot menu. We will open the Manage Data Model dialog. When we open this, it is completely blank. Here you have a few more buttons. The first one is for importing data from databases. This one has three options: SQL Server, Access Database, and another PowerPivot file. We won't use them now. Next, we have the option of importing data from OData sources. We are also not using that. The third option from other sources has many possibilities. Near the end, it has an Excel file as the data source. We will use that. This dialog box is for defining a data connection. Remember, PowerPivot only creates connections to data sources. When the data source updates, the data within the PowerPivot will also update. One may have to use the Update Data button on Excel. In the dialog box, we have to give a friendly name to this connection. We will continue to call it Excel as the default. Next, we will select the file with the sales table, customer table, and salesperson's table. We know that our tables have headers in the first row, so we will keep this option clicked. We will click Next, and here we are. I can see all the target tables in the connection dialog. I will select all three tables, then I will click the Finish button. Success! The PowerPivot got all three tables imported. Now the PowerPivot window has three sheets with data, all three tables, that is, the customer table, sales table, and sales personal table are here. Next, I will click the Diagram View button. It takes a moment to open the view. Here we can see three tables that we connected to with the variable names listed. Let's resize these tables to expose all variables or column heads in them. We have to create relations between these tables here. This is exactly like the Power BI relation window. Those who have used Power BI will find these advanced Excel features familiar. Now, between these tables, the customer code is the key between the customer table and the sales table. I will just drag one over the other. A relation is now created. The relation is one-to-many. If we double-click on the relation line, that will open a window with a data head view and with highlighted values that are related to each other. Through this visual confirmation, we know that we have made the right connection. I will close this window. The next step is creating a relationship between the person ID in the person table and the salesperson ID in the sales table. I will drag one over the other to establish the relationship. Again, it is a one-to-many relationship. A one-to-many relationship is a typical relational database concept used in SQL. This essentially means one table is the master table with unique records of a type of object, and the other table is a transactional table with multiple occurrences of the same object. Here, in this case, each salesperson is featured only once in the salesperson's table. But each person in the person table may be associated with many sales in the sales table. That is one to many. Hope I could clarify. Here I am done with creating relationships between tables. I will now save this Power Pivoted Excel file for your reference. As usual, the file will be available for download. There will be a link to download all the associated files for you to download and try out Power Pivot on your computer. Notice that the Power Pivoted Excel file has no data in its sheets. That is normal. If I click open the Manage Data model, I can see the data tables. Here in the design view, the relationships are also saved. Now the fun begins. I will go back to the data view. In the sales table, we only have the salesperson ID. Let's get the name of the salesperson in a new column. We can write functions here as well, like in common Excel sheets. But any formula you write here is for the whole column, not just for one cell like in an Excel sheet. Let's explain. In the function edit box, I will type related and parenthesis, and then all the related fields are displayed. I will select person from the sales personal table. I will close the parenthesis, and here we are, the column of salesperson is populated. In this view, we have only one salesperson, as we can view only one salesperson ID. Let us scroll down. As we scroll down, we can see the entire column is populated with the right salesperson's name associated with the salesperson's ID. Now, after the customer ID column, let's insert a new column. Name it customer name, use the same related function, and pull customer first name. Then add an amp to concatenate text. Next, I add space within quotations, add another amp, and again invoke the related function to pull the customer last name. Bingo! We got the customer name column populated with the full name of the customers. We can scroll down and check if all names are populated. All names are rightly populated as per the customer ID. Now, let's do some pivots. Power Pivot is meant for pivoting, you see. Let's click the Pivot Table button on the Power Pivot ribbon. I will insert the pivot to the existing sheet only, as we have nothing on it. I can see all three tables from our Power Pivot here. Under each table, we have all the variables that we have in our tables. We can actually use all the variables to create our pivots. This is the real strength of PowerPivot. It is not restricted to one data table. Let's drag the country field from the sales table to the rows panel. Now we have our pivot with all the countries occupying rows in the pivot. Next, I will drag revenue to the values. As we do that, the revenue gets summed up. The value panel in the pivot has to be numeric. If you pull any text field to it, it will create a count function for it and return a number only. Now, our pivot has two columns, country and sum of revenue. That's how we can find the sum of revenue per country. Let's now get the person field from the salesperson's table. I will drag it to the rows under the country. This will break every country by the number of salespersons it has and show the breakup of the sum of revenue by salespersons. However, the salespersons will remain grouped by country. In the pivot table, in front of the country name, we have this minus icon. If we click on it, the sum of revenue for the country is shown and the salesperson's names are hidden. Let me drag the profit field to the values panel below the sum of revenue. Now the pivot has one more column, the sum of profit. As usual, profit is summed up. If we drag the profit percentage to the values, that also is summed up. But a percentage if summed up makes no sense. We can change the method of aggregation to average by right-clicking on the field and clicking on the field value settings. This is just a very simple PowerPivot example. Through this method, it is possible to analyze any data and create tables and charts. One can also create beautiful dashboards within Excel. As the method of PowerPivot is through connecting external datasets, one can always create connections to dynamic datasets and create dynamic dashboards within Excel. In a future video, we will surely learn to create a dashboard within Excel. Thanks for watching. Kindly subscribe to the Pulsefield Expert channel and click the bell icon for notifications. Hope to see you in another such training video soon.